Let us pray. Almighty God, who in your wisdom and goodness have appointed the offices of leaders and parliaments for the welfare of society and the just government of the people, we beseech you to behold with your abundant favor us, your servants, whom you've been pleased to call to the performance of important trusts in this republic. Let your blessings descend upon us here assembled, and grant that we treat and consider all matters that shall come under our deliberation in so just and a faithful manner, as to promote your honor and glory, and to advance the peace, prosperity, and welfare of our country and of those whose interest you've committed to our charge. Amen. Next order.
Order number 1, administration of oath.
Next order.
Order number 2, communication from the chair.
There is no communication. Next order.
Order number 3, messages.
Next order.
Order number 4, petitions.
Next order.
Order number 5, papers.
There are papers. There is a paper by the chairperson, Committee on Budget and Appropriations. The vice chairperson? Any member?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In front of this House, Mr. Speaker, there is a report of a Committee on Budget and Appropriation on the supplementary budget estimate for estimate 2 for the financial year 2023-2024. Mr. Speaker, we had the members. I stand guided, Mr. Speaker. Before we reach on the debate, I wish to lay this paper before this Honorable House. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Thank you. The paper is properly laid before the House by the Leader of Majority Party on behalf of the Chairperson, Committee on Budget. Next order.
Order number 6, notices of motion.
Next order.
Order number 7, statements.
Next order.
Order number 8, procedural motion.
There is a procedural motion by the Honorable Alex Mbugwa, Chairperson, Committee on Budget and Appropriations.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable House. Mr. Speaker, I wish to move on a procedural motion that, notwithstanding the provision of Standing Order 49, 5B, this House resolves to debate the report of the Committee on Budget and Appropriation on the Nakuru County Supplementary Budget Estimates Financial Year 2023-2024 medium-term expenditure framework. Mr. Speaker, sir, I wish to submit. I wish to ask Honorable Philip Wanjohi to second.
Mr. Speaker, I second.
Thank you. Honorable members, there is a procedural motion which is that notwithstanding the provisions of Standing Order 49, 5B, this House resolves to debate the report of the Committee on Budget and Appropriations on the Nakuru County Supplementary 2 budget estimates for the financial year 2023-2024, that is for the medium-term expenditure framework. The motion is open for debate.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to support the motion that we proceed to the procedural motion because of the timeliness of this supplementary budget. Mr. Speaker, you are aware that we are just remaining with only 2 months so that we can end the year. And we'll fall into a trap if we are not going actually to supplement this budget, so that those monies that are on the other side of the issues to do with the recurrent will be saved. Therefore, I would wish that actually the members to be considerate and allow us to proceed to the procedural motions so that we can be able now to save this county from losing the resources. Now that we don't have time, because remember, Mr. Speaker, after this, they'll be going for even for the uploading of this supplementary budget and the rest, Mr. Speaker. Therefore, if the members will be candid enough, let them allow the chair to move that we proceed to these procedural motions so that at least we can save ourselves from the embarrassment, both as executive and also as assembly. I beg to support that we move to we move and this procedural motion to be considered.
Thank you, member for Elbagon. The member for Moridet.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to support the motion that we debate the supplementary budget. And Mr. Speaker, you understand what the country is going through. We have had a disaster in Naivasha because currently the country is undergoing floods, and therefore this supplementary budget also contains the important funding that we need for emergencies. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, it is quite important that members allow that we debate this motion. I therefore support.
Thank you. The member for London.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir, for this opportunity. I raise to support the motion. Happening in my ward, we had a public participation whereby we were able to change so other objectives within the ward. And I believe this is the only loophole that we can be able to ensure they are implemented. To some extent, Mr. Speaker, I believe we have been having such challenges in regard to rain. And I believe it is good for us to be able to be given opportunity so that for those who are able to address these manners that we have at this particular time, I believe it will be okay at the end of the day. Also, I believe in terms of whatever that maybe is supposed to be changed from whichever vote head to another vote head so that it can be able to help us so that we can be able to propagate whatever resonation is, I believe it will be okay on us. So, Mr. Speaker, I raise to support the motion.
Thank you. The member for the Deputy Majority Leader, and then the member for Kamara, in that order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I raise to support the motion. However, I would like to raise some concerns because, Mr. Speaker, you see that we do our part as the Assembly. We pass these motions and we support the government. But when it comes to the procurement, ni kubaya. The speed at which the projects are being procured, Mr. Speaker, is at a snail speed. And we find that before the end of the year, we will have done very minimal work. There is a lot of work that is at a standstill in the procurement, Mr. Speaker. So I would wish that once we pass this motion, the speed, the procurement department to increase the speed. And if the workload is too much for that department, I would suggest it be divided to all the departments so that the work can hasten and so that even the departments can compete amongst themselves, how these projects have been absorbed. So there is a problem, Mr. Speaker. However, I support the motion.
Thank you. The member for Kamara.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I also rise to support the motion. Also on the issue of the leverage on time, I believe I've been to many counties, and many of the counties have through with this supplementary. I don't know how they done it, but I believe to Mr. Speaker, it's a high time for us all, we absorb it, and I believe those changes that many members are raising are the changes that can be effected in this bit of grace period for that time. Secondly, Mr. Speaker, I've also gone through this budget. I've also see on the issue of the savings on the projects, award projects, and I believe now it's high time that we exhaust all those savings, because I believe we do accumulate more savings in a time given that we accumulate in a given that there's a place I saw that award has like savings of 6 good million, and that 6 good million, I believe it can be done. We can finish what has been it's bending. So, Mr. Speaker, I support. Thank you.
Thank you. The honorable member for Kamara. Chairman, you need to respond. Or the leader of majority, you had something to say. Then the chair respond. Then I put it to question about the procedural part of it.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I really don't want to add much, but I think considering the calendar and the movements of the budget, considering also the supplementaries and all that are ahead of us, and where we are as a county, there are many more other activities that are ahead of us today, this being a very important one, Mr. Speaker. Also, would wish as an assembly to stand with the people of Maimayu for actually what they have gone through, and I thought we can register that as an assembly, that we stand together with them. There are many souls that have been lost, lives, and still the rescue mission is still ongoing. The head of states will also be visiting the course of the day, and also visiting the hospitals. So I think it's something that I register as an assembly, and part of what we are going to do as a budget is also going to help towards those kind of mitigations. So I raise to support Mr. Speaker, and urge the members to equally do the same. Thank you.
Yeah.
Honorable Speaker, I wish also to concur with the members. When I did the introduction part, I didn't even state why the procedural motion, Mr. Speaker. But from the mood of these members, they have come to understand and learn that the county is in dire distress, Mr. Speaker. As per today, Mr. Speaker, most of the members here have done changes to this supplementary, effecting that they want their roads done, Mr. Speaker. Most of them have changed their projects from the ward level, Mr. Speaker, to cater for that, Mr. Speaker. Most of the other members, Mr. Speaker, have seen it fit that the monies that would have not been spent, maybe through the recurrent, have been moved to a vote that can be used, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it is in urgency that we do deal with such a motion or this paper and this bill, Mr. Speaker, that the people of Nakuru will feel the effect of the monies that they have, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we are barely 2 months to the end of this financial year, and there will be repercussions, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the salaries of these members, the great people of Nakuru, from the members of this House, the staff who work from all the departments within this county, Mr. Speaker, all their salaries are pegged on this, Mr. Speaker. And as such, Mr. Speaker, I only feel that it is in order that we move appropriately and in quick speed that we pass this supplementary. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Thank you, Chair. I now proceed to put the part on the procedural motion, that is order number 8, to question. that notwithstanding the provisions of Standing Order 49.5b, this House resolves to debate the report of the Committee on Budget and Appropriations on the Nakuru County Supplementary 2 budget estimates for the financial year 2023-2024. As many who are of that opinion say aye. Aye. As many who are of contrary opinion say nay. The ayes have it. Next order.
Order number 9, motion.
There is a motion by the Honorable Chairperson, Committee on Budget and Appropriations.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, I wish to move on a motion that this House adopts the report of the Committee on Budget and Appropriation on the Nakuru County Supplementary 2 Budget Estimates Financial Year 2023-2024 Medium-Term Expenditure Framework. Mr. Speaker, sir, a while ago, Mr. Speaker, a report was committed to the Committee on Budget and Appropriation. And Mr. Speaker, sir, we have gone through the various departments that we have gone through, Mr. Speaker, including your office, Mr. Speaker. I wish to acknowledge first your office, Mr. Speaker. The committee wishes to thank the office of the Speaker and the clerk of the County Assembly for the support extended in its execution of its mandate, as well as the members of the County Assembly who participated, and more so the Committee on Budget and Appropriation. Honorable Speaker, the committee also wishes to acknowledge the team from the County Treasury who appeared during the review of the supplementary budget, as well as the County Assembly Budget Office and the Secretariat. Mr. Speaker, the officers or the offices that we have interacted with have really helped us in this report, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, in my committee, I had an overview and availability of 98% of the members owing to the tragedies that have happened within Nakuru County, Mr. Speaker. And yesterday, when we were doing the report, some members requested to be in Maimahiu to accompany our brother Eriud, whose time has been faced roughly by the tragedy in Maimahiu. Mr. Speaker, sir, the review of this budget has been prepared in accordance with Article 135, subsection 1 and 2 of the Public Finance Management Act 2012. Honorable Speaker, this is the second supplementary budget for the financial year 2023-24 submitted to the County Assembly for review, scrutiny, and to pave way for enactment of the Supplementary Appropriation Act 2023. The supplementary budget was submitted on 24th April 2024, tabled on the same date, subsequently committed to the Budget and Appropriation Committee. The legal compliance, Mr. Speaker, has well been explained there, Mr. Speaker. The rationale for this supplementary, Mr. Speaker, we had adjustment to on-source revenue. We have RAP trust demand note of Kenyan shillings 98 million, Kenya Power pending bills. We had the KRA demand notice, Mr. Speaker, of which all these accrues with defaulting, accrues with other negative adjustment towards our budget. Shortage across departments in allocation for fuel, the allocation from the different departments to reflect the current economic activities and the difficulties that are facing us, Mr. Speaker. On the changes in conditional grants, Mr. Speaker, I think members can follow that on the page 8. We have a 1 up to 5, Mr. Speaker. And then, Honorable Speaker, the net increase in the supplementary budget too for the financial year 23-24, considering the additional allocations and respective changes in conditional grants in Kenyan shillings, 226 million and 211 Kenyan shillings. Honorable Speaker, there is a table that on the tabs members can follow on all these conditional grants. A summary of each has been given, Mr. Speaker, from supplementary 1, the budget estimates, and finally, Mr. Speaker, the supplementary 2, the balances, Mr. Speaker. I think members can follow that on page 8. the allocation of department budgets, Mr. Speaker, the main objective is to realign the budget to incorporate the changes to conditional grants as contained in the County Government Additional Allocations Act 2024. The summary of the departmental reallocation is as shown there, Mr. Speaker, on a table that is on page 10. Mr. Speaker, we start from the Office of the Governor up to the Gilgil municipality, and we also have Moro municipality. We have the County Assembly. The County Assembly will cross, Mr. Speaker, with everything that has been spent, Mr. Speaker, and even the balances. The linkage of the supplementary budget 2 for the financial year 2023 to 2024 with the budget, with the county physical strategy paper. Honorable Speaker, the county treasury has ensured that the budget estimates are aligned to the resolutions in the approved county physical strategy paper and has made efforts to comply with the county assembly recommendations in several departments. We have the list there, Mr. Speaker, and has been enshrined there in page 11 of this report, Mr. Speaker. We also have analysis of the departmental allocations. Mr. Speaker, all this has been simplified into a table, 2 tables, Mr. Speaker. We have summary of additions, Mr. Speaker, and we also have summary of reductions, Mr. Speaker, within that part. It is important to know that this reduction and additions, Mr. Speaker, that is go well with the vying of from one vote to the next, Mr. Speaker. We have additional financing of 226 million, Mr. Speaker, as earlier noted. Other specific allocations include allocation to settle KRA demand, notes of 100 million Kenyan shillings, allocation to favor up trust spending contributions of 91 million, allocation of KISA games account amounting to Kenyan shillings 2.8 million Kenyan shillings. Honorable Speaker, the County Assembly, having the additional allocations via its votes to accommodate any emerging issues within its sitting as dictated upon by the CARA 2023. Honorable Speaker, the County Assembly budget, both in recurrent and development, was rationalized to accommodate the need to continuously build capacity for honorable members and meet emerging development needs as provided for the County Assembly mandates. We have done the recommendations, Mr. Speaker, in this. The County Assembly, the county government should fast track and the implementation of projects across departments so as to ensure the absorption of the budget and more so the development of projects. Mr. Speaker, in this aspect, Mr. Speaker, the Budget Committee notes that we need to work well, and the county treasury should push the procurement process so that the absorption rate within the county will go high. While the treasury has enhanced the on-source revenue projection for the financial year 2020-24, measures should be placed to ensure that the revenue targets sets are achieved. It is important, Mr. Speaker, so that at the end of the financial year or in the next main budget, we are not forced to reduce on the estimates that we would have wanted. The summary of changes of allocation to county departments by economic classification, financial year 23-24. Mr. Speaker, on page 15, we have an elaborate from one department to the other, all the way from the Office of the Governor and Deputy Governor, County Treasury, County Public Service Board, all the way to Gilgil Municipality, Moro Municipality, and finally the County Assembly, Mr. Speaker. And what has been used, Mr. Speaker, is all indicated there, Mr. Speaker, sir. That is on page 15 of the said report, Mr. Speaker. Revised summary of 2023-2024 projects for the entire county, supplementary to financial year. Mr. Speaker, we have different programs as indicated, and members, this is available to you. We have from the HQ part, Mr. Speaker, the fleet management system, purchase of containers, we have all that. Mr. Speaker, we have also the Nakuru City things that have been divided, Mr. Speaker, and I think members will move with interest to the different departments. The first pages, we have the HQ projects from page 15 all the way to page 19, Mr. Speaker. But I will go to the various words, Mr. Speaker, though not all the words. For instance, in Subukia, level 4 hospital, Mr. Speaker, financial year 2023-2024, we have 3 million that has been indicated for renovation, Mr. Speaker, of that hospital, Mr. Speaker. We have the conditional grant on aggregated industrial park program, that is on HQ, Mr. Speaker, 150 million. On the same, on the infrastructure, Mr. Speaker, we have various allocations that are there, Mr. Speaker, and we have the viability, maybe moving some money from the maintenance of street lights, Mr. Speaker, all the way to some other parts whereby we say we install the new ones, Mr. Speaker. World projects, Mr. Speaker, this is of importance member, each and every member within the House, Mr. Speaker, within the Gilgil constituency, Mr. Speaker. We have maintenance and installation of street lights from Elementaita, we have Taita, Malawa West, Morindat, Mr. Speaker. I think all that members can cross-referral because each and every ward that has asked for this movement, Mr. Speaker, all this has been indicated, Mr. Speaker. To note, if you see a bracket at the end, for instance, when you go to bush clearing and road rehabilitation through Kazim Tani, labor-based, Gilgil Morindat, you find that at the end, that money has been vowed to another department or another function, Mr. Speaker. So all that has been indicated. Mr. Speaker, most of the members here have shifted their monies to the maintenance of roads, Mr. Speaker, due to the current ongoing heavy rains, Mr. Speaker. We have ongoing projects like construction of Tumaini Bridge in Maimahiu, Mr. Speaker. That money has been vowed to another project, Mr. Speaker, due to the heavy rains that we have there, Mr. Speaker, and the damages, maybe to the construction of and repairing of the roads that we have there, Mr. Speaker. In education, Mr. Speaker, we have various projects at HQ and also all the way to the ward projects that we have, Mr. Speaker, from Bahati, Kiamaina, all the way to construction of septic tank in various institutions that we have there, Mr. Speaker, and also Gitundaga ECDs, Subukia Waseges. Mr. Speaker, there is a viability there where that money has been reallocated to another part. In livestock, Mr. Speaker, we in agriculture, livestock, fisheries, and veterinary services, Mr. Speaker, that program and the programs therein have been well indicated in this supplementary, Mr. Speaker. All the people that had requests have been featured there. In lands physical planning, housing, and urban development, Mr. Speaker, sir, I think members can follow that very well. At the table is very clear as per what the members would have wanted on page 27, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, sir, the lands department will proceed all the way to page 28, Mr. Speaker, whereby some members have also indicated, like for instance, purchase of land for aggregated center, Kamungeni, that is in Menengai West, Mr. Speaker, at a cost of 5 million, Mr. Speaker. You will realize that amount has been repossessed from purchase of land for dairy processing plant at the same center, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, sir, we have ongoing projects, the ones that have not been affected. It has been indicated very well on the ongoing projects, page 28, Mr. Speaker, sir. On page 29, Mr. Speaker, we have the youth, sports, gender, social services, and inclusivity, Mr. Speaker. The table there has very well explained each and every part that we are moving with, Mr. Speaker. And with that, Mr. Speaker, we move to page 30, the ongoing projects. We have renovation of Mogun Resource Center, that is in Kapkures, Mr. Speaker. It has been indicated at a cost of 500,000. We have grading, revering, Kichwa ECD, playground that is in Menengai West at 1 million Kenyan shillings. Mr. Speaker, sir, that makes a conclusion of that department. Water, energy, environment, natural resource, and climate change, that is in page 30, Mr. Speaker, sir. We have it well elaborated, Mr. Speaker, up to page 31, Mr. Speaker, and the different projects that we have, Mr. Speaker, in that department. Mr. Speaker, sir, in this department, most of the members of the County Assembly have withdrawn some of the money, Mr. Speaker. Like in Biashara ward, Mr. Speaker, we have the Getuamba borehole, Mr. Speaker, moved to another ward projects at good faith, Mr. Speaker, maybe due to the money not being enough to cater for this. Mr. Speaker, sir, as you have observed, this financial year, we have decided that we indicate each and every project that the members here would have wanted to be captured within the awards, Mr. Speaker. And if any member has a project that was not captured, Mr. Speaker, in this report, Mr. Speaker, sir, that one can be done before we do the third reading, Mr. Speaker, or when we move to the second reading, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, this is a report that the Committee on Budget and Appropriation has sat with the county executive, Mr. Speaker. They have given us the insight, Mr. Speaker. We have sat with them even into late hours, Mr. Speaker, to ensure that the county government of Nakuru and the people of Nakuru move forward, Mr. Speaker, with speed, Mr. Speaker. We owe our people, we owe the people of Nakuru, the people who elected us to this assembly, the good work that this committee has done. We need to pass this report as quick as possible, Mr. Speaker, so that this bill can be assented and these monies, Mr. Speaker, can be addressed to the people. Most of the roads in Mr. Speaker, sir, have been damaged, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, sir, even as we conclude this report, when you move to the various wards, Mr. Speaker, that have dams, Mr. Speaker, sensitivity of such dams, Mr. Speaker, has been noted, Mr. Speaker. And as such, Mr. Speaker, I would urge this House to move with speed with the feelings of the people who placed us in such a noble house that we serve humanity and we serve God. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I wish to submit my report and ask the Honorable Majority Leader to second this report. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I reserve to debate later, so I wish to second the motion. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. The Leader of Majority Party. The motion is that this House adopts the report of the Committee on Budget and Appropriations on the Nakuru County Supplementary 2 Budget estimates for the financial year 2023-2024. The motion is open for debate. The Leader of Majority Party.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity to debate the motion that is before us on matters supplementary budget. Mr. Speaker, I would first of all want to thank the committee that sat before and took their precious time to work on the supplementary within a record time. Mr. Speaker, is for the notice of the House that the committee sat. Despite the hardship that the county was going through, they looked at the requests, the various requests that were made by the various departments. They looked at what the executive was also had put forth in terms of supplementing, and even to the individual members, Mr. Speaker. In the process, they were able to put forth their requests, and as a committee, me being a member, I looked at it, and I think it was the right thing to do, Mr. Speaker. For the benefit of the House is that this supplementary has not introduced a new budget. It is a budget that we had done before, Mr. Speaker, in the last financial year. And when we talk of supplementary, we basically mean we just want to do a bit changes. We want to enhance. We want to reprogram. We want to restructure. what we had already done in terms of matters, priorities of what we found out in the field. There were projects that we maybe at the beginning we felt they had impact or they had an emergency direction during that particular time. But as we near the end of the budget, we realized that maybe there are more other pressing and new issues, Mr. Speaker. And that is the reason why we are actually, we have usually have the supplementaries. Sometimes when we think about issues of supplementary and an idea, some ideas can come to us that, oh, we may not be able to pass the supplementary and issues like, it's good for the members to know and for the records. This supplementary budget still touches on us, and as the chair had put it, it touches on our salaries, it touches on the movements of the whole entire county, it touches on the projects, the payments of projects which have already initiated, and more so at this time when we're almost nearing the end of a budget. So it's always good to be on the know-how that this is a process that for sure, for our own good, so that we may not find ourselves in lacunas like had happened before. It is for our own good. It is for your own benefit. It's for the benefit of your ward. It's for the benefit of this county. And any other contrary opinion to caucus. Otherwise, Mr. Speaker, has its own repercussion. It has a timeline. So I felt it's good for the members to know what we are doing in terms of supplementary, that there's nothing new. It has just given you an opportunity to reprogram yourself, to restructure your own issues. And the best and the easy thing to do, without much ado, Mr. Speaker, is actually to pass the supplementary so that we keep on moving forward as we wait for the main budget. Mr. Speaker, without much words, I wish to request this House to support this supplementary and open room and open hearts with a very open mind, knowing it is for our own benefits. I beg to support this motion. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, the Honorable Leader of Majority Party, the member for Malewa, and then the member for Moredat, and then okay, and then we are going to take another round in that order.
Thank you, Mheshimiwa Speaker. I'm Francis Kuria, Malewa West MCA. Allow me first to send my condol messages to the family from my Mahiu. The situation there, Mheshimiwa Speaker, we spent the day yesterday there, and I stand here, I was communicating with the DCC. There are bodies that have been stuck within the valley, so I was coordinating, and let's members support those families. I raised to support this supplementary, Mheshimiwa Speaker, as when we pass this supplementary means we are enhancing the smooth running of our county in terms of payments to our staffs, projects and developments, Mheshimiwa Speaker. And most of our projects within our areas have stalled maybe due to insufficient funds. And with this supplementary, we have maybe most of our members have added some money such that those projects can commence and towards completion. That means we are going to bring changes and beautify our county as we have and source more funds. As we are experienced and we are in season of heavy rainfall, we've given maybe priority to most maybe in departments of infrastructure. So we have identified most affected areas, and with these supplements, we are able also to do or to upgrade most of our maybe damaged roads. And I therefore stand, Mheshimiwa Speaker, and request the members to support this supplementary. Thank you.
Thank you. The member for Moredat.
Mr. Speaker, I want to be very specific in my contribution in this debate. And as a representative of the electorate from Moredat, I want to use this opportunity to air the grievances of the residents of Getare, and specifically those who come from Getare Shopping Center. Mr. Speaker, the residents of Gitare have been accessing water from Gitare borehole. But in the last few months, it has collapsed and also broken down, and therefore they have had to trek for a number of kilometers to get to Kwanyambura River to draw very unsafe water for drinking and consumption. But Mr. Speaker, I want to report to this House that through this supplementary budget, £1 million, £1 million bob has been allocated for the maintenance of Gitare borehole. Therefore, with your permission, Mr. Speaker, I want to face the camera and address the people of Gitare that very soon we are coming to fix Gitare borehole. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. The member for the minority whip, and then the member for Nakuru East, in that order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this chance to contribute and support this report. One thing, Mr. Speaker, why we usually have supplementary budget, sometimes when we are doing our main budget, there are things that our residents or our voters suggest, which let alone we find out that they cannot be done. For instance, we had, like myself, I had some incinerators for the dispensaries, but later on I was told by the department that the NEMA, they had said that the county should not build more incinerators because, I mean the burning chambers, because it is affecting the environment. So in such circumstances, I have to supplement that thing to something else which will benefit the great residents of Hell's Gate. Also, we have some contractors who are given contracts, but they never reported to the ground over a year now, 21, 22. The projects were terminated, so, and I know most of the members have gone through that. So we have to talk with the voters, our constituents, and agree on what they would like to, whether we continue with the same project or we supplement and do something else which is of importance to the people. So, Mr. Speaker, I support this document so that whatever we have supplemented and the projects we have put can be done during this financial year and can be contracted and done during this financial year so that we can try to do away with so many rollover projects. I support, Mr. Speaker, and I urge the House. This is not about us as MCAs. This is about our people. And a time will come when we'll get time to all a chance to think about ourselves as individuals or personal issues. This has nothing to do with personal issues. It has everything to do with those people who brought us to this House. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. The member for Nakuru East.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I stand to support this document, Mr. Speaker. Sometimes last week we stand on a point of county importance. My concern is this is a 32-page document. I'm trying to peruse, and I need to be guided to see that we have put aside some money for emergencies. And it's so unfortunate. Let me first and foremost convey my condolences to the people of Mai Mahiu for the loss of life that we occurred last night. So my take is it's good to know and let the public know that as a county, we have some money set aside for such calamities because it is unprecedented and it is not foreseen. So it is better. We are only lucky that the president has not announced the flooding as natural calamity. And if he does, all the resources should be geared towards such things. So it is better for us to know if there's some money put aside for such issues. Thank you, I support.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Kiptagich and the Honorable Chair for Welfare, in that order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. And I want to commend on the good work that was done by the Budget Committee, especially in KTDA TSS revenue, because that cess has been there from 2014. It has not been used, but I really thank the committee because now the people of Kiptagich, the people of Tinet and Amalo will benefit, especially to use it for roads. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Thank you. Honorable Doreen.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. And I also rise to support the supplementary budget. Specifically, Mr. Speaker, I see that there is a realignment of the conditional grants, which is very important. I know these grants, Mr. Speaker, comes with condition and also timeline. So, Mr. Speaker, sir, I know there are so many issues that need to be addressed, the emerging issues, the issues of the environmental change, and I know these funds will go a long way in ensuring that it sorts the issues. Mr. Speaker, sir, also with the issue of the emerging rainfall, Mr. Speaker, I know there are so many roads that need to be repaired, and this supplementary budget will address the issues that are in the ward, the issues of the street lights, the issues of the roads, and also the Imarisha Barabara program will go on very well, Mr. Speaker. So I stand to support it with totality, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Thank you. And now the Honorable Member for Subukia and the Honorable Member for Mauche. The last person on this side would be the Honorable Chair Sports, in that order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir, for giving me this opportunity. I'm Isabella Makori from Subukia. I take this chance first to send a message of condolence to people of my Mahio for the loss of lives. Mr. Speaker, sir, I like to support the motion. It was a loophole to me to make a change, especially in Subukia Level 5 Hospital, where I was assisted to get a generator from headquarters, and now I'm doing renovation. My hospital is in a very bad shape, so I take this chance to make sure that my people of Subukia are assisted in a good way. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Thank you. The Honourable Member for Mauche.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I rise to support the supplementary budget. And before we continue, Mr. Speaker, sir, I would like to request that the House stands in support so that we can remember the loss of life, the massive loss of life that we have witnessed in Mayo. It is actually a sad moment for our county. For the better part of last night, Mr. Speaker, we were together with the team that is spearheading the rescue mission and also trying to assist the families there in Mayo. So what we saw is actually something which we would never like to see in our country. So, Mr. Speaker, sir, before I continue, I would like to request that you lead the House in standing in respect of the lost lives in Mayo. I'm doing this as the chair of the Disaster Committee in the House.
You want to proceed with the motion on the floor?
Yes, I would like to proceed with the motion, but before that, I'm requesting the House to stand for a minute to respect the lost lives. As the chairman of the Disaster Committee. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, sir, once more, I continue supporting the motion, and relating to what is happening in our country, we have a lot of flash floods, and last week we discussed the issue of flooding in the country, and especially in our county, as a matter of county importance, and we members contributed, and we had a lot of support from the ground, from the floor, that there should be some financial support, emergency funding to this department. The department, Mr. Speaker, sir, is underfunded, yet we have a lot to do. So in this supplementary budget, I'm requesting that we look at it so that we can improve on the funding to that project, to that department, so that it can be able to handle issues as they emerge. Otherwise, Mr. Speaker, sir, I thank you for this organization. I support the motion.
Thank you. The Chair, Sports.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. First, I want to comment on the work that this committee has done. And Honorable Speaker, I want to thank the committee for allocating 2.8 million to KISA Games. I do appreciate the 2.8 million because it will help the sports for our youth in our county. However, this 2.8 is not enough, but because I do understand that resources will never be enough, I will have to appreciate that. Honorable Speaker, I support this motion, but I want to actually bring to the attention to this committee that Kiptoror also is one of the tea growing zones, and I haven't seen my ward appearing in the list of KTDA says allocation, which is 58 million. But of course, I know that the 3 wards will benefit, but I will wish also to know, maybe later from the chair, which parameters and criteria was used so that my ward was locked out. Thank you, I support.
Thank you.
Speaker, sir. Let me respond. Point of information.
On the same?
Yes.
Okay.
About TSS bill, Kiptagich, Amalo, and Tinet have been contributing since 2014. So it is just a matter of you joining the team and you contribute. Thank you.
Honorable Speaker, I'm not satisfied, and I will not be satisfied by the information Mheshimiwa Ross is giving me until the chair himself answers me the question. Of course, I'm in darkness, but that response from Mheshimiwa Ross is not enough to satisfy me. Thank you.
The last member on this side, the Honorable Member for Amalo, and then we close on this.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I would like to support Mheshimiwa Ross to slightly highlight the thesis. I want to inform Mheshimiwa from Kiptororo that our farmers...
Mheshimiwa Speaker, I think I'm very clear, Mheshimiwa
Have your
Speaker.
seats. Have your seats, the two of you. The Honorable Member for Kiptororo, you requested that the chair himself responds to that. So the Honorable Member for Amalo, kindly proceed, because already the Honorable Member for Kiptagich had given information. Proceed with the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I also stand to support the motion that, as my fellow member said, coming from tea growing areas, I would like to support this because it will really go a long way in doing some roads. Mr. Speaker, sir, the money from TSS is the money which we deduct from farmers. For clarity, I want to put it straight that our farmers since 2014, for every kilo delivered to KTDA, they're being deducted a shilling. So actually the money should be more than that, but for now, we are contented with the 58 million, which we will use to do the roads maintenance in our area. Thank you, sir. I support.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for London and the Honorable Member for Turi, in that order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir, for having me this opportunity. Also, I take this opportunity to commend the good job that has been done by the committee. I raised to support the supplementary budget, happening that we are giving opportunity for our fellow members to be able to adjust their budget here and there. Because as we sit here today, Mr. Speaker, schools are not opened in this country. And if there is something that can be done through this supplementary budget so that we can be able to alleviate such kind of situation in this country, I believe it will be okay with us. Mr. Speaker, also I believe the money that, or the supplementary budget that we are passing will go hand in hand, ensuring that all the contractors that have been given works in this county in terms of objective or project, these are the monies that will be able to pay them, so that we are able to do away with pending bills that have been pinning us down as a county. Mr. Speaker, sir, also, I can't imagine a situation whereby my staff at the ward or staff in this assembly or myself go without salary at the end of the month or allowances. I believe it will be a dire situation to me and to the entire members or people who are working, or staffs who are working in this facility. So, Mr. Speaker, I raise to support this supplementary budget. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. The member for Turi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I rise to support the supplementary budget report due to the following facts. Number one, it accords the opportunity to the county government, the county assembly, and the honorable members an opportunity to do some rearrangement and adjustment of the budget according to the project needs of the wards. Also, we understand that due to changes in economic situation prevailing in the country, we cannot be able to remain as per the main budget. And therefore, it is a requirement that we have a supplementary so that we can be able to cope with the prevailing economic changes in the country. Therefore, I support and urge all the honourable members to support so that the process can continue and we shall be able to do the project as we approach the end of the financial year. Thank you.
Thank you. Chair, you want to respond?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, one is to appreciate the support from the members, the kind words that they have used. And Mr. Speaker, I must appreciate that the members of this assembly seem to have come to the realization that the county needs their support, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we have said many words, Mr. Speaker. We have said many quotations here, Mr. Speaker. One thing is that I appreciate that members have noted the dire need from the ward levels, Mr. Speaker. Let me begin by one question, because I think I had two questions. One from the KTDA says, I think Mheshimiwa Kiptororo really wanted me to answer that. But I feel that the Amaro MCA have actually answered it together with Mheshimiwa Rose from Kiptangich ward, Mr. Speaker. When farmers come together and they unite for a purpose, Mr. Speaker, and the government realizes that these people have come together, they have been raising some funds, Mr. Speaker, some contributions, Mr. Speaker. I think it is one thing, Mr. Speaker, and I believe that the two MCAs plus the other block that is there, Mr. Speaker, it is only fair that they bring in Mheshimiwa there so that all the people in that region, Mr. Speaker, can be engaged in such a fund, Mr. Speaker, so that next year, instead of us being given 54 million, Mr. Speaker, if we had some input from the Kiptororo MCA and the people of Kiptororo, Mr. Speaker, maybe we can get up to 100 and something million, Mr. Speaker. So I find this a positive question, Mr. Speaker, and one thing that can bring the people of that area together. Indeed, Mr. Speaker, they can remove from 1 shilling, Mr. Speaker, to 3 or 4 or 5 shillings, Mr. Speaker, so that we can improve the quality of farming within that area. And that fund, Mr. Speaker, can keep coming to our people because they live as a testimony that this can happen, Mr. Speaker. On the emergency funds, Mr. Speaker, we have allocated 70 million, Mr. Speaker, from under the kitty is under the office of the governor, Mr. Speaker, on that, Mr. Speaker. However, Mr. Speaker, when we approach the main budget, which is in 1 month's time, Mr. Speaker, I think it should be tabled later on here, Mr. Speaker, because the timelines is 30th of April, Mr. Speaker, for it to be here, Mr. Speaker. We'll like that kitty, and as a committee, we shall appropriate that kitty to go to the extremes, Mr. Speaker, that we might have 150 to almost 200 million, Mr. Speaker. And then, Mr. Speaker, we would like a policy as a committee on what is bought from that kitty, Mr. Speaker. Most of the people who have been affected by disaster within their areas, Mr. Speaker, they have only received mattresses, Mr. Speaker. They have received unga, Mr. Speaker. They have received blankets, Mr. Speaker. Whereas on the ground, Mr. Speaker, members of my own committee have told me, the people, if your house has been burnt down, Mr. Speaker, or the disaster in Maimahiu today, Mr. Speaker, would not require unga, Mr. Speaker, only, Mr. Speaker. The people there would require mabati, Mr. Speaker. They would maybe require even cement, Mr. Speaker. They would require those houses rebuilt, Mr. Speaker. And as a committee, we raise to the occasion that a policy must be made, Mr. Speaker, that in future, let the emergency kitty, Mr. Speaker, be extended not just to the office of the governor, Mr. Speaker, but let all these honorable members who have their wards here, Mr. Speaker, have a way of allocating some money for emergency within their wards, Mr. Speaker. If they had 1 or 2 million, Mr. Speaker, the MCA in Maimahiu, Mr. Speaker, today would have bought mabati maybe for around 100 houses or households, Mr. Speaker. Then, from the office of the governor, would maybe have bought some mawe, Mr. Speaker. That area is a sun harvesting area, and we would have had our people living in a decent institution or way, Mr. Speaker. So I feel that in future, Mr. Speaker, let us interrogate that, Mr. Speaker. Further on, Mr. Speaker, the Committee on Budget also rise to the occasion, Mr. Speaker. We would also want to ask the other committees that deal with things to do with the PWDs, Mr. Speaker, to come out with policies that will help us utilize the monies that we allocate, Mr. Speaker. We have allocated 27.5 million, Mr. Speaker, this financial year, last financial year, Mr. Speaker. That is 54 million Kenyan shillings, Mr. Speaker. Without these people getting help, Mr. Speaker, yet we have people living with disability within our areas, Mr. Speaker. Those are some of the things as a committee we have noted and would like addressed by the various committees that sit within this house, Mr. Speaker, or they donate that power to other committees that can deal with that, Mr. Speaker, so that we can help our people. Mr. Speaker, sir, I wish to submit that, and thank you to this house. Asante.
Thank you. We'll proceed to put it to question. The motion is that this House adopts the report of the Committee on Budget and Appropriations on the Nakuru County Supplementary 2 budget estimates for the financial year 2023-2024. As many who are of that opinion say aye. Aye. As many who are of contrary opinion say nay. The ayes have it. Next order.
Order number 10, procedural motion.
There is a procedural motion by the Honorable Chairperson, Committee on Budget and Appropriations.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker and the Honorable House. Mr. Speaker, sir, the Committee on Budget and I, as the Chair, would like to move that notwithstanding the provision of Standing Order 119, this House resolves to reduce the publication of the publication period of the Nakuru County Supplementary Appropriation Bill number 2 of 2024 to 1 day, Mr. Speaker. In a normal case, Mr. Speaker, this would have taken 7 days, but this being a money bill, Mr. Speaker, and owing the emergencies that occur, Mr. Speaker, I request that this House honors that a chance that this bill be published within 1 day, Mr. Speaker. That will help us in meeting all those things that we have said here, Mr. Speaker, and also it will help us in the absorption of the monies that have been set here within this supplementary, Mr. Speaker. We only have barely 2 months before the closure of this month, of this financial year, Mr. Speaker, and will not try to move out the next month with this money, Mr. Speaker, to allow us to effectively effect this supplementary, Mr. Speaker. I request a one-day publication from this House, Mr. Speaker, sir. I wish to ask Honorable Kamwana to support that, or to second.
I, John Mwangi, the member for Turi, I support.
You support or second?
I second.
Thank you. The motion has been seconded that notwithstanding the provisions of Standing Order 119, this House resolves to reduce the publication period of the Nakuru County Supplementary Appropriation Bill number 2 of 2024 to 1 day. The motion is open for debate. The Honourable Minority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, listening to the remarks that have been made by the various members in the Assembly, about 20 or so members have spoken and in support of the bill. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, I don't see any member rejecting that we reduce the time frame for the publication of the bill. And therefore, I request that you proceed and put the question so that we are able to proceed. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honourable Minority Leader. The Honourable Majority Leader, is that the...
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As my counterpart has actually rightfully put it, we have debated so much and we all understand the importance of what is before us this afternoon, Mr. Speaker. So would humbly request with your wisdom, having looked at the mood of the House, to put it into question so that we can be able to move forward, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Before the chair comes in, the Deputy Leader of Majority Head, you on the same?
Yes, Mr. Speaker, I support.
The chair, you want to anything to add or?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to appreciate that this House, this noble House, these great people, great sons of this county, have realized that the county really deserves this supplementary. Mr. Speaker, I submit.
Honourable members, I proceed to put it to question that notwithstanding the provisions of Standing Order 118, this House resolves to reduce the publication period of the Nakuru County Supplementary Appropriation Bill number 2 of 2024 to 1 day. As many who are of that opinion say aye. As many who are of contrary opinion say nay. The ayes have it. Next order.
The Nakuru County Supplementary Appropriation Bill number 2 of 2024, first reading.
Thank you. The bill is now committed and hereby committed to the Committee on Budget and Appropriations. Chair, take note. Next order.
Mr. Speaker, those are the orders of the sitting.
Honourable members, this House starts adjourned to 2:30 p.m. this afternoon. Thank you.